it's going to be describing dynamics that probably were in the Garden of Eden. And why that was closed is because botany had reached its potential. And when there's potentials, there's information conserved. And there's information conserved in this universe on black holes. But what's organic from that? Guys, if you're cutting your teeth, there's a way in doing this. But if you're doing it with electrochemical, DNA is part of it. And so when there's, you're gonna have the electric gulag, or this whole electric venue of e-begging. It can, with electricity, be, the art of wiring. Whenever there's complexion, and let me tell you, the complexion of half-lives to cells to chemistry, and defining what pain is to growth, is a thing that is very complex because it incorporates 3 fields. But equivalently, with electricity, all it could be is just wiring, really simply put. If you have something that needs to be processed, like a check, and it drops in your bank the next day, your banker's nice, they'll let you withdraw money. And so the account with you're withdrawing that money negative will accumulate as negative. So even if you put it back to send money to someone with like a wiring, you're better off getting that wiring going with a different app and putting that in there. But there's the universal uploads. You can't do it like in Walgreens, really. So you can just like buy a card. Hopefully, I got lucky with a PayPal prepaid card. Buy this at a store with the money that is negative in your bank account. Because if you put it back in your bank account to wire money with your card from your bank, it would just go in and disappear. And that's the catch. And that catch can be like repetitively seen as a lot of complexity if it's a material. But in the world of wiring, it's only like a 3-stepper instead of a 3-field. And that's how you go about when things are complex and digital. Look at it as material. When things are material, nightmare, look at it, how simple it is in digital. Frank about a few things. It's this micromanagement. And if you can't define what pain is, here's a great way and one way of going about doing that. It would be, of course, what a half-life is in a cell. And then when cells conglomerate, you gotta know the single cell organism. And this is what things favor in chemistry, because things can gel or they can't. Today I'm bringing a story of entitlement, and this is low-hanging fruit to alphas who already have it made. And I'm saying this is because with a grain of salt, I had told a customer service representative on the phone that I'll take what she said, that I'm on a waiting list, because there was no documentation. She wasn't willing to send out an email confirming my position. And this is a thing. There's these entitlements where you can't do something if you're not in a club. I'm a first-class citizen, private citizen, independent journalist, and with a clean record. And so whether I'm talking to detectives, whether I'm talking to the insurance agent at a hospital, it's all the same when it comes to if they already have it made, a clubhouse of a hospital, a clubhouse of a police department. Within a hospital, I was injured. I had a broken collarbone, and there was like 13 doctors in the room, and none of them were helping. They were all trying to look as busy as they could as I was rushed in with a gurney. and then only to have 50 questions from an insurance agent, one that I guess is a sponsor of the hospital, call her a administrative assistant. How many administrative assistants can there be? There was a detective I was just talking to, and this is before I got any help, paying premiums up the wazoo at the hospital. Where a detective agent, he didn't know the administrator of the county where we live in. I'm like, what county you live in? He doesn't want to disclose information. He's like, I'm not telling you. Fair enough, but it's just that he was accompanied with this lady, and I was talking to him at first. This lady pops out, and this was because there was a question I had at the police department earlier. There was like these people walking by with a folder. I can tell when someone is being privileged and they look out of place. So I asked these people as I'm exiting the police department, I was there because I had questions of what a school zone is, and it just unravels more and more of how much one isn't, unless you're on the grass of it. Let that sink in. But these people, I'm like, I can't remember what I said. It was so slick. It was just in the moment. It was something, the impetus was, where are you going? What are you doing here? But I didn't say it like that. It was so like renowned. And so they kindly said, oh, we're with blank blank. We have a meeting in this room over here. And so I've never been like in any of these rooms. I think I spoke to the chief of the police department one time, and it was in a room in that direction. So that was cool. And so today, I wanted to talk to a police officer, not for nothing, but there was 5 things I wanted to talk to him about. And it's, you make like this thing called a call. It's a document where they make it in order to set up a meeting. And so I'm like, can I have it in the room over there? And I pointed in the direction. Of course they knew. It's called the community room. And what a title of a community room. I just did a cultural center open mic last night. And so this community room, this administrator assistant accompanied by the detective, she's like, you can't be in there unless you're a nonprofit. I'm like, well, is there a lesser room where I can go in? Because last time, when it wasn't like a sit-down conversation, the officer ran off and went behind a closed door and treated like it wasn't, I couldn't even understand. There wasn't anything that, was so in and out. But the titlement, the administrator assistant, she's like, yeah, you can go in an interview room. It's something for anyone. Not for nothing, but sign me up. So there's that, and I'm like, this is the administrative assistant, the same thing as the insurance agent. Before you get help, they go and ask you all these things. It's like a pop-up inside of a e-bagger venue. I say e-bagger venue is like a digitized ghetto, digital gulag, one step above that. And it's these needs that aren't necessary, but they are for them, like data mining almost. And we're going to leave it on that note. Nice diesel. Almost like data mining. What these administrative assistants' whole persona is. It's the middleman too. It's the detective described a liaison. It's a middleman, and I'm like, isn't that like a czar? He's like, oh, don't say that word. Entitlement. Like vinegar and water, or the cream of the crop. These are all things like in chemistry where it's a giant landscape, if you will, in chemistry where they know what will work, what won't work. So that with single cell organisms, of course you have to then include DNA with what DNA does, and it's called a tit for tat, where there's like these certain measurements in DNA where they'll do certain things or they won't do certain things. And so the whole genealogy, it's a giant landscape where that's the name of the game in there. So if you combine those three things with what a half-life is, you're going to be able to like hone in on what pain really is, because that point you're defining what growth is. And this would be great for what things are when they're not stable. It's stuff like with teeth. If someone's got like loose teeth, it's kind of like you ask a dentist what's a winner and then what's a whiner. So that some people like their teeth, they're getting it like cut, and so like when you're cutting your teeth, it's like you're gaining your huevos. But then with some, it's like your teeth don't get cut, they just get cut loose. And so if that's an occurrence, it would be kind of like the sum of all the tits and tats with what DNA has in the forefront, the sum of all of them. So that's great. And at that point, with what's recycling, I mentioned like what a gulag is. If a digital